Hi everybody and welcome to Mindset Monday. My name is Sally Garozzo and this is the place to be to get inspiration and motivation on how to find that inner peace that you're looking for and to be deeply fulfilled in your life. So today's session is called From Anxiety to Alignment, and this is definitely for you if you are avoiding situations that you really want to go in or you want to go to because of anxiety. You're constantly in that fight or flight mode, so you're full of nervous energy and you're always worrying about things. You're worrying about, the future stuff that's not even happened, or may not happen. And this is also for you if you feel drained, if you feel exhausted and emotional just because you're burnt out, because, we're not designed to be in that fight or flight mode for any length of time. So do grab a notebook, grab a pen, and let's go. So first of all, I want to reassure you that it is totally possible to feel more joy, to feel more love, to feel more connection, to feel less anxiety in your life. And I know that because this is a subject that's really close to me. I did have anxiety. I had anxiety for about 5 years and it was clinical chronic anxiety, and I came through the other side of it. And today I don't have it. Not the same that it was. I have moments of anxiety, but not that everyday anxiety that just sort of, perpetuates. And it's really the reason that I got into RTT in the first place. But I think the thing is, we have to know that we have got a choice, that we don't have to live with it. When we know we have a choice, when we know that living without anxiety is available to us, it makes us feel much more hopeful. So first of all, I just want to unpick what is anxiety in the first place. So I had a little look at the dictionary definition, and it basically said anxiety is a feeling of worry, nervousness, or unease about something with an uncertain outcome. So it's that idea that something is in the future that we don't know, it's completely unknown, we have no control over it. So we're going to unpick this a little bit, but first I want to give it some context. So I want to ask you guys, what kinds of things do you get anxious about? You can answer live or you can just jot it down and workshop it yourself. Because the first step to any healing process is to become aware. So this is awareness. We really need to out these little gremlins so that they can't hide anymore. We need to shine a horrible light in their face. So what kinds of things do you get anxious about? So you can journal on this, you can workshop it yourself, or what I like to do is just have that seed in my mind and go about my life, go about my days, and just sort of see what situations I bump up against where I feel a bit anxious that perhaps I don't really need to. So awareness is key. Yes. So I'm going to just recite a few things that some people get anxious about. Some of my clients have presented these problems. I've experienced these problems. I've seen these problems manifest in different Facebook groups. So let's just have a quick discussion about the types of things that people get anxious about. So some people live in constant fear about what's going to happen politically or environmentally. They are always watching the news, literally embedding themselves with negativity and these sort of facts about crime. And they kind of go about their lives, constantly checking their shoulder when they go out. Maybe they're spending a lot of money on, high-tech security systems that they really don't need to, which is constantly revalidating that they need to be overly cautious. So these people become really anxious about what is going to happen next in the world that we live in, politically, economically, and what should they plan for. And while this is useful to a certain extent, we simply cannot preempt what is going to happen politically, environmentally, unless we're in that inner circle. And a lot of those things happen outside of our control. And you know what you see in the news is actually a very, very, very tiny, weeny portion of all the stuff that's going on in the world. You know, and if you really want to take control of your mental health, you have to look for the positives. You have to look elsewhere. So I subscribe to a magazine called Positive News, and it gives my brain such good news that, you know, it fills me with a lot of hope. Katie McLean, how are you, my darling? I just got offered a second stage with an agency, immediately felt sick and jumping forwards way too many steps in my mind. Oh my God, yeah. And also stalling on the reply to them. Oh wow, but that sounds like a fantastic opportunity for you. Go for it. It's gonna be amazing. But yeah, we do a hop, skip and a jump. Anxiety really is in the mind, because a lot of the stuff, only 4% of the stuff that we actually worry about comes true. How mad is that? So some people are anxious about the little things like traveling long distances. Where am I going to be able to go for a wee if I need a wee or a poo? You know, where are the food stops going to be? What type of food is it going to be? Will I like it? And so, you know, these are just sort of things that we can't control, right? Some people get anxious about going outdoors. If you let anxiety creep into your life so much, you end up with agoraphobia. And that's where I was. I couldn't even go out of my house. I couldn't go to the supermarket. I had jelly legs. I would panic immediately when I saw lots of people, panic in crowds and stuff like that. But you are in control, because you are always in control of your breathing, and you are always in control of what you think. So even though you think you might be out of control, you are always in control. So some people get anxious about posting on social media, even though it might be the very thing that they need to do to grow their business. Some people get anxious, Katie has said, about, you know, opportunities that are coming through, good opportunities, and it's like you do this hop, skip and a jump in your mind, creating these possible disastrous outcomes that may never happen, right? Some people get anxious about spending money on things that they actually need, like solicitors or accountants. You know, you've just got to spend the money just so that you can be more peaceful within yourself. Now, there are different kinds of anxiety. You've got temporary anxiety, which is when you've got a big presentation or a date coming up, or you're moving house, or you're getting married, or maybe you're having some surgery. And, you know, it's perfectly normal to experience anxiety in these kinds of situations. And normally, after the event, if you don't have chronic anxiety, after the event, your nervous system will just switch off, go back to normal. But with the chronic type of anxiety, but then there's the chronic, I'm just going to read this, but then there's the chronic clinical anxiety, which is the feeling of worry, panic, nervousness, even when there's kind of nothing to worry about. So you literally create minute things to worry about. You could wake up in the morning, there would be nothing to worry about, and you start creating things to worry about that then filters into your nervous system. And then if you do have to do a presentation or give a talk or have an operation or move house or do what Katie's doing, stretching, you know, joining this new agency, then you get jacked up even more. You're already jacked up, but you're getting jacked up even more. And it will take you, therefore, longer to come back down. So I remember when I started running Inspiring Talks Brighton, this was at the very beginning of my kind of self-healing journey, I suppose, or one part of my self-healing journey. And it took my nervous system a whole week, I'm not even joking, to literally calm down. So, you know, it was part of my healing process to really stretch myself. But then in June, I did a big talk in London, which was way bigger than Inspiring Talks. And the next day I was absolutely fine. So that just goes to show that we are very, very adaptable as humans, and we don't have to be stuck in anxiety, but literally I used to experience fear, panic, just waiting, just like waiting for the bus or waiting to see the doctor or waiting in a supermarket queue. I was fine when I was on the go, when I was moving towards something. So driving was fine, or walking was fine, or being on a train or being on a bus was fine. But when I had to stop, it would be like my nervous system was going, but my physical body had stopped. And so, you'd panic or whatever. So I definitely had chronic clinical anxiety, and I would wake up every morning for about 5 years with this feeling of dread, with this feeling of panic for no reason at all, or so I thought. Now, I just want to do a little sidebar and then I'm going to come back to that. So I do believe that there is a difference between anxiety and stress. So stress is having that kind of list of things you've got to do, and stress can be caused by a deadline. It's sort of temporary. It's a feeling of overwhelm, and it normally goes away after the deadline has been and gone. But anxiety is the feeling in your body that is caused by prolonged stress. Now, our body is not designed to be in this prolonged stressful state. And of course, you only, have to walk out of your house. There are so many triggers in this day and age that keep us wired and jacked up for longer. Obviously, mobile phones, social media is one of those things, but there are other things as well, which I'm sure you are all aware of. This is not going to be a discussion about all of the triggers. I do have a video on triggers, but you will know what your triggers are. I like to be very solution focused. I don't like to keep talking about the problem over and over again, only until we get the level of understanding that we need to then move through. So both stress and anxiety are at epidemic levels at the moment. Now, 75 to 90% of all doctor visits are for stress-related ailments. Can you believe that? Including anxiety, including headaches, migraines, even joint pain. So, locked jaw, back pain, because all the stress and anxiety stays in the body. So, and I believe there is a reason for this, and I believe this reason is because we are not listening to the messages that anxiety is trying to give us. Now, my biggest learning about anxiety was that it was trying to tell me this. Anxiety was trying to tell me, you cannot go on like this, my darling. Something needs to change. You cannot continue to worry like this. You cannot continue to grit your teeth like this. You cannot continue to work as hard as you are working. You cannot continue to be driven by external validation, by money, by fame, by material stuff. It was like my life was all about me. It's like I had sort of isolated myself, and I'd become this lonely island that felt like I needed to do everything myself to sort of prove, subconsciously probably to my parents, or prove to whoever, myself, that I was worthy. So what is the solution? Or what was the solution for me? Well, the solution was reprioritizing my whole life, setting very, very clear boundaries so that I could spend more time getting myself into that rest and digest mode. Now, most of us don't believe we deserve to be in that rest and digest mode. We sabotage it when we feel relaxed, when we feel calm. We get up and do something that might trigger us again. So we never really stay in that rest and digest mode for long enough that it becomes familiar. And to be honest, our society doesn't really promote the rest and digest mode. It promotes striving. Although, I believe this is actually changing. So just like you might switch your computer into safe mode, you can switch your nervous system into that lovely rest and digest mode, which redirects the blood back to your organs for healing. And it actually creates a more alkaline environment in your body. So stress creates an acidic environment in your body. You get a buildup of lactic acid. It's so that you don't taste very nice. If a saber-toothed tiger or a bear took a bite out of you, they would stop eating you and then you'd have a greater chance of staying alive. Horrible thought, isn't it? So, yeah, we really need to get our bodies into that rest and digest mode. So for me, what really jump-started my progress towards this inner peace was RTT, so Rapid Transformational Therapy, which is what I do now. And really it was about finding out, where did it all come from? I've done so much meditation, I've done a lot of yoga, still do, but you know, I was kind of using meditation and yoga as my tool for helping me with anxiety, which is good, but it wasn't really getting to the root. I needed to understand where it all came from. And in RTT, it's done under hypnosis. So when I found out exactly where it came from, it helped. I'm just going to go back and read this because it's good the way that it's written. So all of those meditation, yoga, breathing practices kind of act a little bit like sticking plaster. They do create some form of temporary relief, but the underlying programming was still there. So I suppose in a way you could think of it as like driving with a slow puncture. The air would be hissing out and you'd constantly need to top the air up. I think that's a good analogy anyway. So discovering how I had learnt to be anxious gave me incredible power, because I then knew and believed that I could unlearn anxiety. So here's the thing, if you are not consciously moving towards inner peace, you will be moving towards anxiety. And there is no doubt in my mind that you will be sucked back into it just by observing life. So unless you live in a cave on your own, just by existing in this crazy world that we live in, you will get sucked back into that fight or flight mode unless you are consciously moving towards inner peace. Okay. So how do we do that? So part of the title of this talk is From Anxiety to Alignment. So let's look at alignment. So the dictionary definition of alignment is to be in agreement or alliance. I should have inflected downward then. The dictionary definition of not enlightenment. The dictionary definition of alignment is to be in agreement or alliance. So in a psychotherapeutic term, that means being in agreement with you and you, right? Because we have two parts. So who is the other you then, right? So some people call it the ego and the higher self. Some people call it the personality self and the wise self. Some people call it the unconscious self and the conscious self. We all have these two parts, unless you've got multiple personality disorder, of course. But we all have two parts. And the part of us that plays out our flawed programming, maybe our addictions, maybe our disorders, maybe our negativity and our worry, and the other part of us that knows deep down this is not perhaps in our best interest. So the ego self acts out of fear and protection, and the inner being self is the softer voice that sort of pulls us and guides us towards something better. It's like it knows what is available to you, even though your fear self might be in denial. Okay, so here is the thing. Your inner self must evolve. That is its nature. Its job is to pull you forward. That is the creative force within all of us. And if the fear self is dominant within you, guess what? You ain't going anywhere. You're going to become stuck, paralyzed, moving nowhere. You are literally at war with yourself, because that's trying to move you that way and that's trying to move you that way. So you're at war with yourself. Your inner being part of you is calling you to evolve and move you forward And your ego fear self is saying, oh no, don't go there, you can't go there, it's scary there, fill in the blanks. And so you stay stuck. And this stuckness is called cognitive dissonance. And it feels horrible. You know when you're there because you feel wrong, you feel anxious, you feel depressed. And the reason is because you are in conflict with you, right? So to get into alignment, you have to create cognitive resonance, not cognitive dissonance, cognitive resonance. And that looks very much like being at peace with yourself. Letting it all go. Accepting what is, knowing that you are enough on the inside, creating a feeling within you that both parts of you are working for you, not against you. That you are just a product of your programming, none of it was your fault, but it is now your responsibility to move you forward. So, fear, control, worry, anxiety, these are very addictive qualities because they are so familiar to us unless we prize that habit out of us. So, I'm going to give you 2 big tips in a moment to help you find alignment within yourself. But first, I want to share with you a little bit about RTT in case you are suffering and in case you are wondering how it might be able to help you. So with me, like I say, it was my real turning point. Having RTT jump started me into alignment, and then it was up to me to carry it on, to keep it going. So RTT stands for Rapid Transformational Therapy, and that's what I do. I'm a therapist and I'm also a well-being coach, and I help people bust through these blocks that are holding them back using the power of the subconscious mind. So what I do is I rewire your mind for inner peace, for inner alignment, for this cognitive resonance, and it is accelerated through the RTT process, which is a 2-hour process, like I said, done under hypnosis, which harnesses the power of your subconscious mind, the most powerful part of you, the part of you that is responsible for all of your drivers and processes. So during RTT, we do something called regression, which helps you to find out where it has all come from. And so what we do is we go back to those scenes in your life, in your childhood, or even in your adulthood, where you might have learned or picked up a belief that says, I have to be perfect, I have to be better, I can't be me, I've got to twist myself to be me, it's not safe to be me because I'm getting punished for being me, or I'm not getting my needs met for being me. I can't, maybe a parent was desperately unhappy and you felt it was your responsibility to make them happy, but of course you can't, and so you feel like a failure, and so it's perpetuating this feeling of helplessness within us. Maybe you felt different as a child, and we're all born with the need to avoid rejection and find connection, and if we can't connect because we feel different, that can make us feel so lonely and so isolated. And then if we take that feeling into our adult lives, we really do we're in trouble because we need other people. We're social creatures, and if we don't have that connection to others, we get very hypervigilant, and that is not good for your nervous system. So when you know all of the whys under hypnosis, you have clarity. It's like light bulb moments going off left, right, and center. You have awareness. And under hypnosis, we can then change the meaning that you attach to those scenes. And then the great thing is you can be free of it, because you realize, you don't just realize, you feel it, you know that it's not your fault. It never was your fault. When you feel it, you can change it. And that's why hypnosis is so powerful, because it works with your feelings and emotions, not just your logic, which is what kind of psychotherapy and counselling works with, just the logic. So once we've changed the meaning, you will then have more flow, you'll have more ease, you'll have more cognitive resonance, you'll feel calmer. So it's honestly one of the most powerful, one of the most transformational tools that I have come across. And I have had quite a lot of different therapies, believe you me. It's the one I chose to learn for myself because I knew I could help others with it. And I love it because it is rapid, and I love it because it's rooted in neuroscience. And, you know, we all love a bit of science. It plays to that sort of rational reasoning part of our mind. Neuroplasticity, that is how it works, because it reroutes and rewires the neurosynapses or synapses. So in RTT, we don't spend a lot of time talking about your problems. Yes, we go there in regression for clarity and understanding, but then we spend most of the time reinstalling the new language for you, which is what is going to transform you. So if you feel like RTT might be something for you, I just want to give you a little bit more clarity and understanding of how it works with me, and then I'm going to get straight onto those tips. So if you want to work with me, here is what you would get. First of all, we would start with a free, no obligation consultation where we have a chat and we determine what it is you want to let go of and how ready you are to let go of it and what you want to create in your life. So the success of the treatment is dependent on you knowing these things, which of course will absolutely get clearer during our consultation, right? So then we do the RTT process, and we can do that via Zoom. It works brilliantly via Zoom, and we can also do that in person. So I live in Brighton, in case you didn't know. Now, at the end of your RTT treatment, you get a 20-minute recording, totally personalized to you, which I set to binaural music to make it go in deeper. You then listen to that recording at least once a day, if not twice, for 30 days, and that begins and sets the rewiring process. And that's the reason why you don't need to keep coming back for more and more and more sessions. It's not a weekly therapy. You have it once, twice, or 3 times, and you don't need it anymore. So you also get access to me via WhatsApp, so we can go backwards and forwards using voice clips or text if you're having issues or whatever, or you just want to share something with me, or if you need a quick reframe. You also get 2 mini coaching sessions with me as well after your treatment, and I find these absolutely invaluable because they help to reflect, they help you to reflect, to really integrate the changes and the learnings. So if you think that RTT might be something that could help you with your anxiety, please do get in touch. Do not suffer in silence. There is a way out. There is a way through. Don't worry about the price. It's not extortionately expensive, and I do payment plans. So you can have a look at my website, sallygarozzo.com, or where you can book a free call with me there, or just drop me a DM. Okay, so now those tips as promised. So tip number 1, find connection. Okay, if you did nothing else, just do this. So anxiety tells you that you are rubbish. Anxiety, it's such a liar. Anxiety tells you that you are not good enough, that you must try harder. It tells you that you're different. It tells you that no one will like you. It tells you that you've got to bend over backwards and contort yourself to be liked because you're just not likable exactly the way that you are. It tells you that you won't be safe in the world. It tells you that there's never going to be enough money. There might not even be enough food or water. But of course, that's not true in this day and age. We don't live like cavemen anymore. And it also tells you that you can't connect. But that's not true. You can connect. But first and foremost, it's so important for you to develop and have a relationship with yourself. So before you try to go out there and connect with other people, let's build and develop this relationship with yourself. When you can do that, when your tribe does come along, and they will, You won't be reliant on them. You won't be codependently attached to them. You will also know if they actually are your people, because your intuition will be a lot stronger. And so it's your job now to prove anxiety wrong and to deepen your connection with yourself first, to really learn to love yourself exactly the way that you are, and then actively seek out new connections that support you the way you are. Now, there are loads and loads of groups online and in Brighton, and if there isn't a group where you live, set one up yourself, a meetup or something. Now, how do we develop this connection in ourselves, within ourselves? Well, one of the really key things that we should all be doing every single day is breathing exercises. Now, breathing exercises are great because they're a form of meditation, a form of mindfulness, but they also scientifically proven to switch you from your fight or flight mode into your rest or digest mode. So just like flicking the mode on one of those old-fashioned cameras or whatever, this is what you're doing for yourself. You're switching modes. How do we do this? We breathe in for 4. We breathe out a little bit longer. 6, 8, whatever. We need to do this for a minimum of 15 minutes twice a day. Now, there is an app that you can get called Breathing App. It's free. It's great. I use it twice a day. You can set it to a tone so that the higher tone is breathe in and the longer tone is breathe out. So you can close your eyes. There's nothing for you to watch. If you do that twice a day, your nervous system will start to relax. The other thing that you can do to develop a greater, deeper connection with yourself is to wake up every morning and to look in the mirror and say, I am enough. There's nothing for me to prove. There's nobody for me to please. I can be me. It's safe to be me. It's safe for me to build a relationship with myself. Even if I don't know who I am right now, it's safe for me to start that process. And so the language that you tell yourself is so important. The imagery that you tell yourself is so important. So you can just as easily think about yourself in a negative light, or you can just as easily think about yourself in a positive light. Which one will you choose? And so that is your choice. But this is where most people fail, right? Because this is where most people think, oh, it's boring. It's the same suggestion I'm getting over and over again. I keep being told to breathe. I keep being told to think positive. I keep being told to see myself in a different light. So why are you not doing it then? And that is something that you need to ask yourself. Are you ready to change? Do you believe it's available to you? Are you just getting bored? Are you just not excited enough by the prospect of sitting and meditating? Do you not believe you deserve to feel better? That's a big one. So these are some of the issues that we deal with in RTT. So tip number 2, you need to create evidence that proves to your mind that you don't have to live in fear. And you do this by stretching your comfort zone. So what is the thing that scares you the most? Is it driving? Is it doing a Facebook Live? Is it going on a date? Is it traveling? Is it going to a festival? Is it asking for a pay rise? Is it joining the agency? Pushing your career forward? What is it? What is it that scares you? Now you're probably thinking, look, I'm anxious. I can't stretch my comfort zone. I'm already anxious. Well, I'm here to tell you that that is the cure. You've got to get out of your comfort zone. But eventually you realise it's fine. It's okay to get out of your comfort zone. Like any muscle, you get used to it. So let me explain a bit. People with anxiety like to know that everything is going to turn out well. They like certainty, right? Life's not like that. However, it's your job to look at the evidence that already exists, which proves to your fear self that every time you've travelled, for example, it went well. Or most times when you went on a date, it went okay. Or most times when you've done public speaking, it turned out fine. Or most times when you've driven your car, you didn't die, you didn't crash. You see, the mind likes to latch on to these bad memories to protect us, right? So, and it likes to protect us from anything that has the potential to harm us. Of course, why wouldn't it? It's always trying to work in our best interests. So that's how your mind works. It's designed to rehash these bad memories. But of course, it's our job to get into alignment and work with our inner being, not against it. So your ego is always trying to keep you safe, but your inner being is always trying to pull you forward. And remember, your inner being knows that things will probably work out for you. And if they don't, you're just going to learn from it anyway. And working in collaboration with yourself, joining these two parts together, means really telling the truth about who you are, what you're capable of, rather than listening to the lies that come from your old programming, your old cultural conditioning, or the current cultural conditioning, and this sort of anything that's been born out of this stasis. Maybe you've been in this tug of war with yourself for a long time, and you have now new beliefs and patterns and habits that have been born out of this stasis. Okay, so that is all from me today. I hope you've learned something. I hope you are now able to move your lives from anxiety to alignment. There's a lot in this video. Maybe it will be worth watching a couple of times. And like I said, if you do want to contact me or you've got some questions, please just contact me. I love helping. It's my life's mission to help and contribute and to raise the vibration of the planet. So that's all from me. Have a wonderful week. I will see you next week.